Hey, this is Jason with TradingReviewers.com, and today we're joined by Eric Pharis and David McKay of BlackBoxStocks. Eric is the co-founder and David's the director of marketing and business development for the company. And today we're going to be talking to them about the BlackBoxStocks platform and the thriving community behind this innovative trading tool. So Eric and David, welcome.
Thanks for having us, Jason.
Hey guys,
Thanks,
before we
Jason.
dive into things, I wanted to take a few brief minutes to hear a bit about both of your backgrounds, how you got into trading, what type of trading you guys primarily focus on, your involvement with the platform. And Eric, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, when I was in undergrad, I wanted to get into trading. So I decided to go to graduate school in New York, study financial engineering, and then took a job on Wall Street in 1999 as a prop trader. So I was actually what's called a SOES bandit, if you've ever heard of that term. Yeah. And I got thrown right to the fire in the run-up in the tech boom in 1999, and it was pretty wild. It was really fun. I learned a lot about markets and how they move, how stocks move. And then basically the firm I was at was sort of the nexus for the ECN revolution. And so I was around a lot of really technically savvy people that knew technology and markets. And my background being engineering, I decided that it would be really interesting to start running our own kind of high frequency trading algorithms. And so I recruited our other co-founder of BlackBoxStocks, David Kyle, who's a Java developer in 2004, and said, hey man, I think I can write some algos if you can code them for me. Because being a developer is a whole nother world from algorithms. So he said, sure. And we launched our first high frequency trading algorithm in 2005. I thought we were a little late to the game. Turns out we were actually still way ahead. And we had a really good run. And we built out a lot of infrastructure for handling market data and testing, back testing, different algorithms and that sort of thing. And about that time, 2010, I became friends with Gus through mutual friends here in Dallas. And he asked me about building more of a retail platform based on the technology that we developed in our high frequency trading days. And I thought it was a great idea because we had this really great infrastructure we'd built out. And so started just as an idea in a bar, and we raised a little money in the beginning and built a beta program, and we had some following right out of the gate. And then David came on just right then, right at the very beginning as well. So he could probably tell you a little bit about his experience.
Yeah, so I joined shortly afterwards, and what brought me to BlackBox, being friends with Gus, and I've known him for quite a long time, and Eric as well. Just my curiosity for trading. Particularly, started when I was growing up, watching my grandfather do some, doing his investing and his trading, and always wanted to learn, and never really knew, once I left my hometown, never really knew like where to learn, how to, approach it. And, technology was finally around, with my friends starting this company. So I dove right in and, was one of the first beta testers at BlackBox and picked it up, I think, pretty well. That's back when it was an OTC site, but it was still really interesting to me. I was very fascinated with it, and it was a good way to learn. And I've been just wrapped up with it ever since. So shortly after doing the beta testing, I approached them and put together a deck, became the director of marketing, business development, and here we are 5 years later.
And for those who might be learning about BlackBoxStocks for the very first time, how would you describe the platform, guys? How would you describe it to somebody who has never heard anything about it? And also, what type of trader is it designed for? And what, in your minds, sets this platform apart from other similar software solutions in this space?
Well, I would say that we took an opposite approach from everything else out there, where there's a bunch of competitors that have unlimited ability to set whatever scanners you want, filter down exactly what you want to find. Most of them are incredibly complicated to use, even if you know what you're looking for. Most people don't even know what they're looking for. And so we started with the premise, sort of like the iPhone, where you can run it out of the box. Now, it's important to take the time to understand. We have a lot of education to help users understand what we're offering, but we try to do the heavy lifting for people. So we preset everything, and we filter everything out in the beginning to make it much easier for people to identify what's going to be useful in their trading style. So, and we're definitely geared more for people who are day trading and swing trading. And then we have just a tremendous amount of proprietary information. We're not just regurgitating what you'd find on other sites. We're creating our own proprietary analytics, particularly with options, basically tracking the smart money. And, we have our servers processing millions of trades a day and digging out, finding where big money's moving.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique platform in that regard. As you mentioned, there are a lot of different scanning applications on the market, but can be extremely complicated. And, you log in for the first time, there's quite a learning curve. That was one of the things that really stood out to me about the platform that you guys have developed is how user-friendly it is. The very first time you log in, everything is just done for you. It's just right there. You've got all the alerts pretty much pre-programmed in, and everything's, easy to get going right from the start. I think that's one of the main selling points. As you mentioned, is there any possibility in the future of opening things up and allowing people to, perhaps more advanced traders who have more specific things that they're looking for? Is there any possibility of opening that up in the future and allowing people to plug in their own custom scans? Or you want to keep it totally as it is now? Everything is pre-programmed for the trader.
Yeah, no, I think that's the direction that we're moving into. It's progressively, I think, moving that way as more people become more aware and familiar with trading. So when we started years ago, we were really focused on that specific of, like Bloomberg terminal, for instance. You have to do a lot of, the custom configuration yourself. And, the more familiar you are with trading, the more experienced you are. That helps out immensely. To somebody who's new, it poses, pretty big challenge. So the user friendliness and doing a lot of the work on the back end was a big thing for us. So the simplicity. Now, 5 years later, it seems like, trading is becoming more and more of an everyday thing in a lot of people's lives. And I think that the more people are learning, so there's not as much of a learning curve because people are finding out through, awareness as things are growing. Even like take options, for instance. Options, 2 years ago, there weren't as many options traders as there are now. This year, it has just went parabolic. And I think a lot of that had to do with, the whole, crypto craze that occurred 2017, 2018. That built a lot of awareness, drew a lot of people's attention, particularly with the Gen Z millennial crowd. Then we started, doing more day trading options and the introduction of the option side of our platform. And we were very fortunate to do that when we did because the timing was great. And now, options is the big thing. And I think because with the gains that people were hearing about during the whole crypto craze, we're now seeing that with our options trading, but we're seeing it on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. We have traders that are making, 100, 200, 300%. And almost every day we have 100% gainer on the options side of the platform. We don't suggest that people, just look for that. But back to, answering your question, with the filters and the things that we've added on the platform recently, we are moving to a more, customized setting type of system. We're a user-driven platform. So that's what the people are asking for. So a lot of it has to do with the timing and the progression of the industry. As it becomes more of a day-to-day thing for people and they're learning on their own, it seems like there's less of a learning curve for us to have to accommodate to. So people are coming in and they're requesting filters and they're requesting, certain specifics that before they were just wanting to learn how to trade stocks. And then we've discussed doing some sort of like a pro version where you can have a customizable configuration of the BlackBox system itself, because traders that have like a trade station with, 3 to 8 screens, they want to have things in a certain place where they like it, which I'm myself are one of those people. So we've discussed that, and that could be something that we have in a later version. Answer your question, I think within versions to come and the release of our native mobile app, whether you're an options trader, stock trader, dark pool, or a combination thereof, you'll be able to use our filters and custom configurations to get the data and the indicators that you want to see as a trader.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. If you had plans to do that in the future, how you would approach that, if it would be integrated right into the platform with basically, one size fits all platform, or if you would roll out, as you mentioned, a pro version, something that's slightly different, a little bit more advanced and targeted towards a different person at a different price point, perhaps. So I was just curious also on how you would approach that. And you kind of touched on that a little bit. What can you guys tell me about the current version of the platform? Obviously, a lot of things I'm sure have changed since the platform was originally launched. How does it compare with the original in terms of design and overall functionality, features, et cetera?
I'd say the biggest change is the options platform we added about 2 years ago. With the explosion of options trading, we're continuing adding new algorithms as well and fine-tuning the algorithms we have that are identifying particular types of users buying large blocks and sweeps and how aggressively they're doing it. We're always trying to work and fine tune those, but that's by far been the biggest upgrade. Then we also added dark pools recently too, where we're really trying to zero in and where we're seeing those large block trades going off and helping users identify them. And we've added it to our charting now, so you can see historically where those dark pools are trading and potentially see support or resistance levels in stocks based on those. This is kind of how we're using them right now.
I mean, we have a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline in what we're doing with socialized trading and investing. So, fintech's an exciting space to be in, especially this year, which is, it's cool to watch it blossom and, all the different companies in the space. We're really excited to be doing what we're doing and, navigating our way through things. It's been an interesting ride so far.
How often are you guys adding new features to the platform?
Typically, it just kind of depends. I'd say like once or twice a year is usually when we do a big update. And then, every once in a while, we'll put, an additional filter on or, a new alert, just depending on when we think that it's ready to launch, when it's ready to be put out onto our production site.
And these features that you guys are adding, are they basically the product of internal brainstorming or customer feedback and special requests, or a combination?
It's a combination. We have ideas of things that we'd like to implement, and then we take customer feedback. And when we get repeated interest in certain features, we work hard to get those integrated. The dark pool was a big one. People wanted to see that. But the volume profile that we developed was an internal devised feature. And I think people really like it. It's a really cool visualization tool to help people see these dark pool prints. One of the goals is to provide more raw data for our users too. We have a lot of more high-end users requesting the actual raw data. So we're going to be working to add that ability. It's also an additional, maybe having an API in the future is something that we might offer. It's actually a different license for the exchanges. So we don't have that license at the moment, but it's probably something we'll add for power users, later in the year.
As far as the development of BlackBoxStocks goes, what have been some of your main struggles? How have you guys kind of worked around those issues?
Well, so we're lucky that our team of developers are very savvy about market microstructure and market structure. So when we start doing updates or working on development projects on our site, our developers are really great at understanding how markets work. And so they're not just like typical developers that you have to explain what you're doing. They get it. Now, part of the problem, I'd say we generally run into the main problem of trying to make things user friendly. That's always a challenge, right? Because you have these developers, they understand, they're super smart, they're engineers, and I'm an engineer. But then Gus, the CEO, he's a self-proclaimed non-techie. And so it's interesting, we tend to argue a lot, but usually we find a really good solution that's very user-friendly in the middle. So we have a pretty good team, and we come to, after some arguing, we usually come up with some pretty good solutions. But things user-friendly is actually one of the biggest challenges.
I mean, I would agree with Eric. Finding out what a trading tool or feature is going to be like for hundreds or thousands of people can be an interesting journey. And anticipating people's response. I mean, we've gotten better at it. It was a lot more interesting, these debates in the beginning. But yeah, I'd say that building out the social component that we have with a YouTube influencer or somebody that has their own small trading chat room can join BlackBoxStocks, and we have an affiliate program. So building out that functionality on the tech side of our platform and the integration of that social side has been an interesting piece for us to work on, and it's definitely referred to as maybe the crown jewel of what we do, because it's that interaction with the tools and the education all working together that we find is a really good recipe for people to have an advantage in trading stocks and options. particularly if they're newer. Building out to where a broadcaster, like I said, could come on or somebody with a chat room and be able to, monetize their following that they built out on social media because they're into trading, and then they're teaching their people who they already have a relationship with, and then everybody's learning together, but they're all learning together using the tools on our system. It tends to help people when they're discussing ideas and learning from one another with the overall success rate. And that's the big problem, I think, or another one of the problems that we provide a solution for. That is, a continuation of what we're doing. And, we're always striving to provide the best tools and features for our users based on demand and, where we see, the growth of fintech going and, the industry and what we're doing. So it's very interesting. Each day is different. Each day in the market, each day at BlackBox, and as we grow, and we have members in over 50 countries now. So it's really exciting to, be able to, converse and talk different people from all over the world, all wanting to trade. So it's really exciting.
And as far as the development of the application goes, is that all in-house? I mean, you guys are in Dallas. Is that all done right in the office there from Dallas, or do you guys have programmers located all around the world that work on the project together?
All of our developers are local, not necessarily in Dallas. We have some in Austin, but they're all local, and we work really closely.
Austin is like the Silicon Valley of Texas. So a lot of our guys are located there.
Keep Austin weird.
That's right.
If you guys had to build the platform from scratch right now, is there anything that you would do differently?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a tough question. I mean, I think we would arrive at the same place, but it'd just be, it'd be a lot faster. But part of the development process is consumer feedback. So you just have to launch it, get the feedback. It's an iterative process. So, it's not, you just can't do it that way.
Yeah, you have to make the mistakes to learn from them. Otherwise,
Exactly.
Otherwise you don't know. And one of the things I've been really personally impressed with is how well BlackBox is supported. There's an entire community behind it and a lot of resources available to members. Can you tell us a little bit about the community aspect of the platform, who helps to run it, and what a new user can expect in terms of education and support when they sign up?
Sure. Our community is led by our team of moderators that have been vetted out by BlackBox. So they're traders that have been trading for 15, 20, 25 years typically, and some of them have formerly been at an online brokerage, institutional, and retail. So in our community, they're leading the day to day, and a new user will be able to log onto our system the first day and come into the audio chat room and listen to the moderators and what they're looking at on the system, what they're discussing and why. Generally during the first portion of the open first hour and a half of the day, people just listen and let the moderators help people out and explain what they're looking at and share ideas, and then it's like learning on the job basically. And then around lunchtime, there's a little bit of discussion depending on whatever the lunchtime lull, how slow it is. Maybe it's not slow here lately, with Apple, it's been pretty busy throughout the day. But yeah, normally things slow down around lunch, and they'll talk about what's going on in the market today. What are we looking at? What's the Fed talking about? What's going on with geopolitical events? What's happening in tech? Things like that. So every day is a great learning experience, and you've got people that have been trading for years that have seen a lot of things, being able to share what they're looking at that day and basically convey that with their experience, which is huge for somebody especially that's new, that's being able to learn. So you have that kind of mentorship, and it's there every day. And then we also offer the educational program, which we have our educators, which some do both educating and moderators there, and the education calendar is accessible 24/7, and you can sign up for the webinars. They're all live. You can also watch the recorded version. So we try to drive the education portion of our system as much as possible and reiterate that. So you can take the classes as many times as you want. It's always available. We just want to make sure that everything that you need to know and do continuing education. That way you're consistently working on becoming a better trader and working on things so that you're more successful and more profitable.
For the average user, what would you say the learning curve is like when they first sign up? How long does it typically take a user to really get their feet wet and really get a handle on how this software can help their trading?
I'd say that the average person, let's just take somebody that's, fairly new. I'd say that most people, it takes a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks to 3 months, depending on how much they're on the system, how much they're putting into it, doing their own due diligence, getting into the educational webinars, trading. We have a trading with Charlie, 5 days a week. That's, during the first hour and a half of trading. So you're trading in there live with, moderators, and he's, going into detail with some of the other moderators, Maria, Teresa, and they're explaining things in more detail that's separate from what's going on in the main chat room. Depends on options. We most of our members are options traders. I'd say about 80%. I'd say usually within 3 months, we see a significant portion of people that they get the hang of it. And I'd say realistically, this is no guarantee by any means, but realistically, as a side hustle, people can make a few $100s to a few $1,000s with the system, after that time frame once they start picking it up. Everyone's different, but for the most part, from what I've seen over the past few years, that's about how long it takes for somebody to get acclimated in trading well.
So that's really a testament to the fact that it's so user-friendly. Other platforms, it's much longer learning curve. There's so many settings and ins and outs of the application that you have to learn before you can ever really do anything profitable with it. But that's one of the things that is instantly noticeable the minute you log in. Just the dashboard area, everything is very intuitive, very clean layout. It's not hard to navigate through. All of the educational resources are available right at your fingertips. It's just a really well-designed platform, in my opinion. And
Thank you.
I think it's probably one of the applications that has the least amount of time required to actually learn it and make good of it. So I think you guys have done a great job with that. We're almost out of time for today, guys, but there's one more thing that I wanted to ask you about. What can you tell us about the future plans of the platform? Is there anything at all that you can share with us regarding perhaps new features that might be in the pipeline?
Sure. Well, we're really excited to be integrating with TradeStation. It's in development now, beta testing actually, and our goal is for the ability of our users to basically click and trade and take out the middle steps. So I think that's going to be the next huge feature we're going to be launching in the next 6-8 weeks. So we're really excited about that.
So will all of that be 100% automated? The potential will be there that basically the system will trade for the user?
No, it'll be, the user will still have to click and trade, but they can see our proprietary alert, click and trade. It'll be super fast. There won't be any cross-platform time required.
Awesome. That sounds really exciting. Well, that does it for our interview today with Eric and David from BlackBoxStocks. Guys, thanks so much for coming on, taking the time to tell us a little bit more about yourselves and also about BlackBoxStocks. We're really impressed with the platform and we're excited to see how things develop going forward. So that's it for today, everyone. Until next time, happy trading.